Hello guys and gals, Buffalo here. I'm down here at the range today with a Ruger Mark IV Tactical. That's what I'm going to be featuring in today's video. But before I get started, I like to come down here and just make sure that my sights are on with the ammo that I'm using. Today that's Blazer. So I've got a target out there at about 20 yards, maybe 21 yards. Just going to see where I'm hitting. Well, don't think I'll need to make any adjustments. So let's get started. Didn't lock back that time. Woohoo! Still don't want to lock back. There's a fungus among us. Got locked back that time. A little bit of a science lesson here. The more holes you poke in it, the faster it drains out. Alright guys, so that was a lot of fun, but let's take a closer look at the pistol now. And this is not meant to be an in-depth review at all. This is another viewer showcase pistol. This pistol belongs to viewer Jason. He sent it over to let me share it with you guys. Really appreciate that. All the shooting in today's video, by the way, was done with the Blazer ammo. You notice that the pistol didn't lock back a couple of times. It's supposed to have last shot hold open. The times that it didn't lock back just happened to occur on camera. It was actually relatively few times. Most of the time it did lock back, and a lot of times that's either ammo related or because the gun is not completely broken in. So I'm going to give it a pass on that. So let's take a look at this thing. The sights here are, the rear sight is fully adjustable. You got a elevation screw here and a windage screw here. Of course, fully adjustable rear sight is a must on a target pistol like this. Now this is not the factory front sight. Jason changed this over to a fiber optic. It's a high-vis fiber optic. I'll show you the factory front sight here in a minute, but he did switch that out. And the great thing about these Ruger pistols is there is such an aftermarket following. You can build one of these pistols with aftermarket parts and not have a single Ruger manufactured part on it. It's just incredible how the aftermarket is picked up on these. These grips are also not factory. These are Stoner CNC grips. Very nice. Just another example of how easy that you can customize these pistols to your own tastes. I'll show you the factory grips and the factory front sight here in a minute. Those are the only two changes that Jason has made to this pistol. The rest of it is completely factory. These Ruger Mark IVs, of course, you've got a steel, the finish is blued on the steel barrel and receiver. And these barrels and receivers are actually made together. It's actually the serial numbered part. Then you've got your grip frame, which is separate, and on the Mark IV Tactical, it's an aluminum. It's a CNC milled aluminum grip frame. Very nicely done. The finish on this blued barrel, of course, is lighter than on the black anodized grip frame. Did a trigger pull gauge or a trigger pull test with my Lyman trigger gauge. And the trigger pull's just a little over 5 pounds. I got 5 pounds 1 ounce on that particular pull. And again, there's just a ton of aftermarket support for this pistol. If you wanted to upgrade this trigger to something lighter and crisper, you could. Now, you could even do a trigger job and clean that up somewhat. But it's not a terrible trigger out of the box. It's very shootable. Not a great trigger, but not terrible either. And this being the tactical model, it does come with a threaded barrel. Got a nice thread protector on here. It is threaded half 28 so that you can put your favorite muzzle device on there, whatever it may be. It is drilled and tapped. This pistol actually comes with a rail installed on the top and one here on the bottom, and those are nicely made aluminum rails. You can see it is drilled and tapped. Jason wasn't using the rail, so he took it off, but if you wanted to mount a red dot or a pistol scope or whatever you wanted to on there, you could. These controls are really nice. These are a big upgrade over the Mark III. You got your safety. The safety is actually ambidextrous. You can use that from either side. And you can also remove the safety on the right side and only have it on the left if you want to. But I think that's pretty neat how they set that up. The bolt release, much better than what it was on the Mark III, the previous version of this pistol. And the magazine release is also much, much better. In order for me to show you what I'm talking about, I'll show you my Mark III. Alright, so this is actually my Mark III Hunter. Totally different model than the Tactical. But the controls on all the Mark IVs, they have these upgraded controls. I want to show you the controls on my Mark III so that you can see the comparison here. The safety is just a button that you push up and down like that. The bolt release or bolt catch is just a little stamped piece of metal there. And the magazine release is nowhere near as good as what it is on the Mark IV. The magazine on these, you hit the magazine release, you have to manually remove the magazine. It's not going to shoot it out for you. In comparison, look at the size of the controls on the Mark IV. They're better located, they're bigger and easier to use. And check this magazine release out. Check this out. I mean, it absolutely lobs them out for you. And the reason it's got a little spring here. I don't know if you guys can even see that on camera. Right there it is. So when you hit that magazine release, that spring launches that magazine out of the way for you, which can be really important if you're shooting games where magazine reloads, I should say, or it's important that they're quick. So I wanted to show you just those differences. Also, on the Mark IIIs, Ruger went with this mechanical loaded chamber indicator. It kind of sticks out the side when the chamber is loaded. Got a big red flag on it, and I've never liked that. It's kind of ugly, and using a mechanical loaded chamber indicator can create bad habits. It'll cause people to rely on that mechanical device when it may fail. It may fail and not stick out when it's supposed to, or it may be stuck out when it's not supposed to. So I am glad that Ruger ditched that. A lot of improvements. I think it's great that Ruger upgraded all these features that I just mentioned, but the biggest thing they done is improve the takedown, and they improved it dramatically. If you guys know anything about these pistols, you've probably seen this 100 times already, but to take this thing down, you just make sure your magazines are removed, make sure the gun's on safe. You've got a button in the back here. Just press that button and lift up on your barrel and receiver. Bam! You've got this pistol taken down. You can clean what you need to clean right there. Now this thing is dirty. I've been shooting it, obviously. Of course, you can pull your bolt out. Look how easy that is to get to now with a cleaning rod. Clean that right up. Here's your bolt. Of course, again, this is dirty. I've been shooting it. You can remove your spring and get to whatever you need to get to. If I can hold on to it there. Just that simple. Put her spring back in. I've got that dirt all over me. Put her spring back in. Drop it back into the receiver. You've got a hook here that's going to hook onto this pin on the front of the grip. Just make sure your pin goes in the back. Right back together. In comparison, my Mark III is just a pain in the butt to take apart. The Mark III, of course, it's got the magazine safety disconnect, so you have to pull the trigger, let off the trigger, pull the trigger, let off the trigger. Every time you make a move, you've got to pop this out, this big mainspring housing, pull it down, pull this pin out. And this one is particularly tight. This is the worst Mark III that I've ever had as far as takedown. My 2245 is much easier than this one. This one you have to take a wooden dowel and drive this pin out. It's just, and getting them back together, you don't know how many people have brought me a Ruger Mark III in a paper sack. Say, hey Buffalo, can you help me out here? I took this apart and can't get it back together. It's just a pain. And I understand what those people are going through, so I always help them out. And we always manage somehow to get them all back together for them. But it's just a great improvement here. The grip angle on these pistols is based on the Japanese Nambu pistols. If you prefer a more American style 1911 grip angle, they do offer this pistol in the 2245 version, which has the 1911 grip angle, and the grip frame on those is polymer. Just to be clear, in case I wasn't very clear on it, this pistol does have the magazine disconnect safety. It will not fire unless a magazine is inserted, even if the safety is in the fire position. I'm not a big fan of that. Rather, it didn't have it. Some people do remove them from these pistols. I wouldn't go as far as removing it on a target pistol like this. It's not as big of a deal as it is, say, on a self-defense pistol to me. And that's just my opinion. Some people prefer the magazine disconnect safety. But what I was going to show you guys, before I forget, this is the grips, if I can pick them up, that came with the pistol. These little grip panels here. So if you buy a new one, that's what's going to come on it. And this is the sight he took off the pistol. Just a black sight, and he replaced it with this high-vis sight. The pistol comes with 2 nicely made 10-round magazines. Very well made. They do appear to be the same as my Mark III magazines, so I think Mark III magazines would work and vice versa. Also comes in a very nice case. Of course, he's got his paperwork in there, but pretty nice little carrying case. Put his paperwork back. I don't want to lose any of that stuff. But these pistols, if you're looking for a .22 target pistol, it's just hard to beat these Rugers. Manufacturer's suggested retail on this is $689. I just checked today. That could change, of course. Now, they go for less than that. A lot of people, when I mention MSRP in a video, a lot of people assume that that's what they're going for in a gun store. That's not the case. MSRP is exactly what it stands for, manufacturer suggested retail price. You shouldn't be paying MSRP on a gun unless it's some kind of a collectible or something like that, or a gun that's really on high demand and short supply, something like that. But generally, you're not going to be paying MSRP. I always mention that, and again, it confuses some people. So it's just a good baseline to compare. I can go on the website of the manufacturer and get the suggested retail price. That's why I always talk about it. These probably go for around $500, just a guess. But great little pistols to learn on. If you're looking for a semi-automatic plinker, it is hard to beat one of these Rugers. But I think I've about covered everything that I intended on covering in this video. Sorry it's not an in-depth review. I just don't have the time with a pistol that I've got on loan like this to try different ammos and things like that and find out what it likes and what it don't like and learn its little quirks and things. But the Mark IV has been around long enough. These came out in 2016. If there were any big problems, you'd probably be hearing about it by now. So that's all I've got. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate my subscribers. Getting close to 100,000 subscribers now. That's pretty crazy. Appreciate all you guys supporting the channel over on Patreon. It means a lot to me. Lets me keep these videos coming. That ammo ain't free. So that's all I got, and I'll talk with you guys again soon.